everyone. This is Kate in Richmond. Today, we're very pleased to have Daniel Lee with us. Daniel is running for election to represent District 26 in the Texas House of Representatives. So,
thank you,
Daniel, thank you for being
you.
with us. And also, first, congratulations to you on your winning in the primary election. Daniel wins 65% in the primary election March 1st. So now he is the official candidate for this position representing Democratic Party.
That's
right?
correct.
Yeah. So tell us more about you. I know you were born in Texas, like which city and how you grew up.
So I was born in Dallas, Texas. Born and raised. English was not my first language, it was Cantonese. And then eventually, after years of Chinese school, I was able to pick up Mandarin, right? And then we kind of refined that in college by taking some courses, and then even more so now that a lot of my clientele are Chinese speakers, whether it's Cantonese or Mandarin. I use it on a daily basis, so I'm very thankful that my parents gave me those opportunities. My parents, they were business owners, and before they were business owners, they were waiters, they were, bartenders of sorts, they were, button pushers in the Empire State Building. They did all kinds of different things. Like my dad used to be a tailor, right? And so they tried out a bunch of things, and finally they said, hey, let's open up a Chinese restaurant. And they opened up a couple pretty decent ones out there in Dallas, Texas. And eventually they rolled out into switching into real estate because it was a lot more, it's a lot less, I guess, stressful.
So did you grow up in the restaurant? Or?
I did. I actually swept the floors, and I was the busboy.
Wow.
And also I got to try, I was one of the tasters. I got to taste the food.
Wow.
And if it wasn't good, we send it back and try something different. So a lot of the times, like, because I like stuff a little bit more salty. Well, eventually we figured out that maybe I wasn't the best taster.
So how old were you at that time?
So we had a restaurant from when I was born all the way to, I believe, 13. And so, we spent a lot of time, when I got older, I became the cashier.
Wow.
So, I've tried every single step. I even cooked fried rice one time.
Wow, so it sounds like you grown up in a very hardworking family, and you yourself and began to work, in teenager age.
I did. We were open till about 2 a.m. because we had a bar. And so everyone, sometimes I would have to fall asleep at one of the booths, and then they'd take me home.
Wow.
And so we would be working constantly. And I bring a lot of that same work ethic when I build my firm. And it's, working at schoolwork and working in, like a professional setting where you're running a business is totally different. It's not the same, because you really have to know how to work with people and know how they operate at the lower levels, right? And so I treat my employees and my clientele as if I were them, and I remember being in those positions.
When you're working for your father's restaurant.
Exactly.
Yeah. Sounds like you started work way early than a lot of the average young people today, probably. So then, where did you go for college?
So I went to UT Boston for college. So that's.
What did you study?
It's I studied economics.
That's what I studied
minor.
in college.
Yeah, which is kind of the same thing. Business minor, economics, it's pretty much the same. But and then I went to law school in Houston after that in 2004.
Earlier, I interviewed a volunteer. He graduated from UT, and then he is looking for the next step. So you mentioned after UT, then you decided to go to law school. What have motivated you to study law?
Well, so my parents, like I told you, they were in real estate. They, I guess they got into some sort of legal trouble, and they had to spend a lot of money on attorneys, and eventually they pretty much ran out of money
Wow.
as far as cash is concerned. And so I took some time off from school. I went back to help out and try to figure out, what the dynamic was. And because of that, I was motivated to, go into law just because, there's a lot of people that are getting, that need help, and they're getting charged an arm and a leg, like $700-800 an hour. That's ridiculous, right? And so I tried to, make it so that we provide a service that's affordable so that everyone can get some type of access to legal help.
Right, yeah. In my earlier interview, the volunteers and other community members did talk about lack of knowledge of law in American society. They paid a lot of price for that, yeah. So definitely is a very big need in the Asian community or in the general community. So then after law school, did you work in a law firm, or when did you begin your own firm?
I started working at a couple law firms my first couple years out, and then eventually about 2 years afterward, after I kind of figured out that I could provide a better service, and after I kind of learned my craft and I had some good teachers along the way, I decided to open up my own practice about 2010. Yeah.
Oh, you have served your clients for over a decade. So what is the area of your practice?
So I mainly do civil litigation and family law. So civil litigation just includes any situation where you're either in a car accident or you're having issues with your partner in your business, and there's or maybe even a real estate transaction, like a business transaction. And then family law, we handle divorces, adoptions, CPS cases, and all sorts of things that deal with in a family.
Yeah, so sounds like Asian community, there are a lot of small businesses and also family. I think you can be a very big help in these family needs. When you began to think about running for the office?
I think probably about 4 years ago when I ran for judge, and I said, well, I think I could, really help the community here in this space, because I work in that space, right, as a family law lawyer. So, and then now transitioning into running as a candidate for the House seat. I've had experience, working in the Capitol before, and some of my dad's best friends are representatives, or they used to be, and so I kind of grew up around politics and how things work in the Capitol. So I can't really say it's something that is new to me, but I can definitely say that I've been influenced.
What would you want to do if you were to elect in the position?
Yeah, so what I want to accomplish, right, is we want to hit all the groups that have been marginalized, or the issues that haven't been addressed in our community, right? And issues specifically would be to address this violence against Asians more often. We need to at least put that in the forefront, that there is that going on, and we need to punish people for those type of crimes harder than they have been punished. We need to fix we need to make better provisions in place to be ready in case that there's another freeze, and we need to definitely have these companies winterize early and often, and be prepared for industry to change in case it does. We need to have different types of industry in place, not necessarily switching out of oil and gas, but just adding on, adding on,
I
like
see.
wind energy or nuclear. We need to start talking about and adding those things on. It's going to take some time, but we need to start moving towards that direction. You know, what we can't have is we can't have people in place that are just mainly focused on winning elections, and instead they need to help people in their community win life. You know, winning elections is, you know, just half or maybe even less than half of the goals of each person that are elected. It should be helping every one of us succeed together, because if any one of us are poor, then we're all poor as a community, because eventually we all have to pay one way or another. But we need health care to cover those that aren't getting enough health care because they're kind of in the middle, right? They don't make enough money to pay for full-on health care that satisfy their needs, but they don't make little enough to get all of those free benefits. So there's so many people that are right in the middle that are hardworking people, like people that are here, like yourself, that need those types of coverages, and we're just not reaching out and working hard to get, you know, those things done.
You also mentioned like in education, right? So what do you want to accomplish in that area?
Well, so we have a shortage on teachers. You know, one thing you have to address is getting them paid, right? And paid correctly. If you give them a raise, they will come back, or more people want to get into that type of job. You got to build your bench, right? So what does that mean? That means that we got to get more people into the pipeline of wanting to be a teacher. If they know the salaries are higher, they're going to want to study to be a teacher and, you know, switch over. Or you might have people right now, we have at my kids' school, like engineers and people that used to be, you know, vice presidents that are now going in and being teachers, you know, because they want to serve their community. They made it, you know, they made a good living and they want to help out, right? And so maybe we can capture those people that are interested in, you know, a second career.
Good education is always a good area to invest and to promote. What would be the challenges in the area you want to accomplish?
Well, the challenges are, you know, we have to get everybody on board and get the votes. You know, that's usually the challenge, right? The challenge is to make it so that the community or the state as a whole is in agreement, so we can get all the votes we need to get these things passed. As a Asian community or Hispanic community or Black community, if we're not voting out there, then nobody's going to care about what you say.
So then you win like a 65% in the primary election. Was that a big surprise, or in the process of getting the voters, you felt that's a pretty good expectation?
Yeah, I was pretty confident that we had done a great job, but you know, you never know what's going to happen. You know, we leave it all in God's hands once we finished and turn in everything and say, okay, it's 7 o'clock, we're going to stop working, and you know, at that time it's out of our hands. We just do the best we can and hope for the best.
Yeah, sounds like you have very strong super majority support in the primary. I wish you a great success in the coming general election in November. Would you want to say some final words to voters out there?
Yeah, make sure you guys have registered to vote wherever you guys are living at. Everybody deserves, you know, a right to be heard, and if you vote and at least register to vote, then you know you're doing your duty and your obligation as a citizen here in the United States. And if you're not a citizen, you know, go encourage someone who is to vote. Like I had people working on my staff that were green card holders, and they would encourage other people. If you live in the Katy, Richmond, or Rosenberg area, I'm going to be on your ballot in November. So vote for me. Look for me, Daniel Lee, for House District 26.
Thank you so much,
Thanks
Daniel.
for having me. Appreciate you guys.
Okay, thank you.